It was one of those damp grey evenings in London when the streets gleamed with wet reflections from the gas lamps. I had arrived at Baker Street, shaking off the rain, to find Holmes seated in his favourite armchair, eyes closed, fingers steepled, yet somehow alert to every sound in the room. The fire flickered, sending shadows across the walls, and the soft scratching of the pen on my notebook seemed almost musical compared to the tapping of rain outside. Holmes looked up as I entered. "Ah, Watson," he said in that peculiar, calm voice of his. "You have arrived at precisely the right moment. I have a most curious affair on hand, extraordinary in its simplicity yet most intricate in its execution." His eyes twinkled with the hint of a challenge, and I knew I was about to follow him into another world of London's hidden corners. We did not have long to wait. Mrs. Hudson ushered in a visitor, a young man with a nervous energy, dripping wet from the rain and clutching a soaked envelope. His face was pale and tense, his movements quick and uncertain. Holmes rose with a polite nod, gesturing for the man to sit. "Pray, tell us your troubles," he said, his voice calm but penetrating. The young man introduced himself as Neville St. Clair. He spoke quickly, almost in a rush, describing a strange event that had begun a few weeks earlier. Neville was a respectable man, mild-mannered, and a writer by profession. One afternoon, while walking in a busy street near the East End, he vanished without a trace. His wife had reported him missing, and though the police searched diligently, no trace of him could be found. Holmes leaned back slightly, tapping his fingers against the arm of his chair. "Missing, you say? And there is no clue at all?" "Nothing," Neville replied, his voice trembling. "Except there was a beggar, a man with a grotesquely twisted lip, who seemed somehow connected to the events." Holmes's eyes gleamed. "Ah, a disguise perhaps?" We decided to investigate immediately, venturing into the East End that evening. The streets there were a sharp contrast to the orderly neighbourhoods of central London. Narrow alleys, crowded markets, and dimly lit taverns. Children darted between the legs of labourers, carts rattled over uneven cobblestones, and the smell of smoke and coal hung heavy in the damp air. Holmes walked with his usual precision, observing every detail. He spoke to shopkeepers, begged for directions from street vendors, and examined the doorways and windows with a calculating eye. "Notice, Watson," he whispered as we passed a narrow alley. "The mud on the doorstep, recent and scraped, suggesting a hurried entry. Small details such as this often reveal more than the most detailed witness testimony." We reached a notorious corner where the beggar Neville had described often sat, and there he was, a pitiful figure, hunched and ragged, with a mouth twisted into an almost grotesque mask. Holmes crouched low, observing him carefully. "Notice his hands," he whispered. "They are well kept, yet hidden in ragged sleeves. A clever actor hiding his true nature." I watched as Holmes moved closer, carefully studying the man's posture, gestures, and the way he reacted to passers-by. The beggar appeared oblivious, yet every glance and twitch seemed deliberate, almost rehearsed. I could feel Holmes's excitement mounting. Every subtle observation pointed to something more than a simple street actor. That night, we returned to Neville's house. His wife greeted him with trembling hands and anxious eyes. But just as she thought all hope was lost, Neville stepped in. Safe, exhausted, and very much alive. Relief washed over the room like sunlight breaking through clouds. Holmes quietly requested the full story. Neville admitted he had been living a double life. By day, he was the respectable husband and diligent writer. By evening, he transformed into the beggar with the twisted lip. The disguise was perfect. A prosthetic mouth, ragged clothing, and a demeanor so pitiful that no one would recognize him. His purpose was simple: to observe life in the East End for his writing without revealing his identity. Holmes examined him with the keenest interest. "Remarkable," he murmured. "The precision, the restraint. Few men could have achieved such deception without discovery. You have walked among London streets unseen. Unseen even by those who believed they knew you best." Neville explained that he had sometimes begged for alms, but mostly he had observed the street vendors, the children at play, the thieves in their hidden alleys. All of it was fodder for his stories. And while it seemed harmless, the risk had been real. His disappearance had caused grave concern for his wife and puzzled the authorities. Holmes, ever the observer, leaned back, a faint smile playing at the corners of his lips. "Watson, this is one of those cases that reminds us of the extraordinary hiding within the ordinary. Nothing is what it seems when one examines closely." Mrs. St. Clair, tears of relief streaming down her face, embraced her husband. Holmes's gaze softened as he observed them. "In this world," he said, "the strangest mysteries often have the simplest explanations. And yet, to find that simplicity, one must look closer than anyone else dares." The rain continued outside, but within the walls of 221B Baker Street, all was calm. Another London mystery had been revealed, not through danger or villainy, but through the cleverness of a man who simply chose to disappear in plain sight, and the keen eyes of Sherlock Holmes, who saw through even the most perfect disguises.